peers and a competitor.
Yes, a competitor. She's in Arizona. I'm in Seattle.
Yeah. So, same thing with Arwen, right? We meet, she's not telling her story. Her company's in a certain place, right? She works with her husband. And what did I say? What did we do? What did we work on?
I started telling my personal story about when I was broke as a kid and how that impacted, obviously, the way that I communicate and talk to people. So I started telling that first 3-minute story at the beginning of my seminars.
Yeah. And did you ever tell that story before?
Never.
And do you want to tell that story?
Well, now I don't care.
The first time.
No, of course I didn't. You know, anytime you get into a personal story, especially because my mom, both my parents are still living, and it really had to do with being very financially strapped as a kid. And so telling that story and connecting with the audience. But yeah, just like Stephanie, I mean, the revenue for our firm before we started working with Bo, maybe not to the degree of Stephanie, but we had hit $1 million the year that we had the year before we started working with you, and literally within that first 12 months of starting to adapt my story and then actually telling story throughout the event, getting rid of the PowerPoint, and ending with the offer that I think maybe you'll be training on today, I'm not sure. An extra $500,000 that year. I think that was worth it.
Yeah. Anything, because you were in there, I like that you're here, you know? And anything, when you were sitting in their seats, right? Like because they don't know me very well, right? What, if you were in their seats, what would you tell them? What would you wish you knew, like a year ago?
Well, I guess just to use a story, because that's what we learn, right? September 25th, 2016, I actually just put my kids to bed, and I came downstairs, and I started having a panic attack. First time and only time in my life I've had a panic attack. And I was talking to my husband, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm supposed to go back. I can't do this. I can't do this. And this is after 17 years of owning a financial planning firm. And we had actually 2 months before gotten to the point where we were going to sell it. And actually only half of it was being sold, and I was going to go to work for another advisor. So it was splitting a 17-year partnership. My kids were devastated. We had fired employees and put other people on notice, but I was done with all the pressure that came along with it. And that next day, I came into the office, because now I had to go back to this company. I called off the sale, literally, the last minute, called it off because I felt it was going to be the end of my marriage. And so the next day I had to go back to a company I really thought was broken and had to be fixed. And I didn't really know how I was going to handle it. And that day there was an email to come to the Power Story event with Bo. And I had just seen him speak on stage probably, I don't know, maybe 2 years or so before, and talked on story a little bit. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have to be there. And so we signed up to go to the Power Story event, and it was like this pilot light inside of me, and I'm telling you, I know that there are some of you in the room who are feeling the same way. It's like you hear somebody who talks to your greatness, talks to how great you have been created to be, but yet you've kind of got stopped in this place of, I don't know, just consistency and, you know, not wanting to really change, whatever that might be. And I just knew we had to be there. So we signed up for it, and then we ended up joining the mastermind with them at that point. And I'm telling you, because of the fact that we had decided to sell our company, we had stopped all marketing. So for any of you guys who are doing seminars and things like that, that is the lifeblood of our company. So not having done that for 2 months, we really had no revenue coming in, and the first payment bounced. It was so awful. And you know what? I know, isn't that awful?
Isn't that awful?
Why in the world would you sign up for something that you couldn't afford? And it's because I knew that I had to be there. I knew I had to be in the same room with somebody like Bo who would speak to that place in me that has always been there, that I'm great, and that I'm made to be great, and that you're made to be great. And I just knew that was the piece. And yet, when we finally made that commitment, not only did the ROI on our company, but just random things, because the whole purpose of what you're doing with Bo is how you present yourself to the world around you. And things that you would never imagine start finding you. I mean, I was a lifestyle mentor on a reality-based TV show. I mean, it was just like weird things and books. And partnered with David Bach, who's a 9-time New York Times bestselling author, and I'm going to be bringing forth Smart Women Finish Rich here in June, and I'm so excited about it. But if you think about your seminars, give our seminars, we were consistently converting about 40 to 50% of the attendees. And then, after starting to integrate story with practice, this does not happen because you just work on a story once. It happens because you practice it over and over and over again. In about 6 months, consistently, I was closing 75 to 95% of the room.
Wow.
The same mailer, same amount of dinners bought, the same people there, and I was closing it. And you think the bottom line of your revenue, it was just spectacular. So yes, does it work? Yeah. Do you need to do the work? Yes. But telling that personal story, it's unreal. The people come in and they literally give you everything. Everything. Because they've already gotten to a place where they trust you and they want to work with you. So it all works.
Thanks, son.
Yeah, you bet.
That's awesome. So the more personal your